Today's a cool day. We're headed to Fluent to finally talk all things THC. You guys had a lot of questions, specifically about dosing, microdosing, usage, different ways to take THC. So I figured what better thing to do than to go talk to the experts themselves. So we are headed to Fluent. We're gonna go over some of the products they offer and then the benefits of those products. Okay, so we're at Fluent right now. We're gonna go over some of the products that they have. And then we also have Stacy here who is gonna just give us some more knowledge, impart some knowledge about THC. All right, so this is Stacy. She's going to be answering some of the questions that we got on Instagram. So one of the most common questions that I got was, well, I have anxiety and I smoked weed, but it made it way worse.
So anxiety and weed can be a little tricky. So you can pick the wrong strains and that can exacerbate your anxiety. So if you have anxiety and you're already feeling a little anxious that day and you smoke some sativa, that's gonna put you up. It raises your pulse, it raises your blood pressure, which is gonna agitate your anxiety. So you wanna find either a good even hybrid that works well with it, one that works really good for me. I think me and you have talked about this. It's like my Come to Jesus strain. Blue Dream.
Right.
So I absolutely love Blue Dream. It works really well with anxiety, even though it's a sativa, and it keeps you able to function all day. I use drops because they work like edibles and they last a little bit longer. Another reason that it would do your anxiety bad would be smoking too much. So you can actually smoke too much weed and that aggravates your anxiety. Like I was just telling you a minute ago, I've taken one too many edibles and they are a little tricky sometimes. So it takes an hour to 2 hours to kick in. And the ride, once you do get that to kick in, if it's too much, is not fun.
Yeah.
But you can use CBD. The CBD is a miracle worker, and that actually will bring you down from your high.
Right. Yeah, it's funny. I was watching one of the cooking shows on Netflix where they cook with THC, and they use THC and CBD to like control your journey through the cooking show.
Yes.
I think the hard part about THC is there's not a dosing that fits every single person. When you take a Tylenol, they're like, take this much Tylenol if you weigh this much. THC is really dependent on a lot of things, like how much body fat you have, what your metabolism's like, how active you are, how hydrated you are, how much food you eat. So I think the hardest part about that is just telling someone you got to kind of find the dose that works for you. And it's always better to start small. I think a lot of people just start way too high in their dosing of things, and then that's where they get into those situations. So the strain matters and how much you take matters. So if you have anxiety, it still can help you. You just need to make sure you're taking the right stuff in the right amount.
Yeah.
So we'll kind of jump back real quick because you mentioned, Blue Dream. That's something that Fluent does that a lot of dispensaries don't do. So why don't you talk about what you like about Fluent and then kind of talk about that whole...
So the main reason that I actually came to Fluent as a customer before I ever started working here was because they carried Blue Dream. I had heard some amazing things about Blue Dream. A little bit about myself. I have epilepsy. I have really bad anxiety. I was on a lot of medications prior to coming to Fluent and getting my medical marijuana card. When I came to Fluent, we had a really good manager here out in Fort Walton Beach, and she worked with me. They were really personable. It was different from other dispensaries. The lady took her time. She walked me through what strains would work best for me to get off of epilepsy medication, to get off of Xanaxes, to get off of opiates. And I've actually been off of those for almost 2 years now. So that's really why I like Fluent. It's like a family atmosphere, which sets us apart from other dispensaries. You get more information, and we genuinely care about you walking out, not just getting high. We want to give you something that's going to benefit your health.
Yeah, and that's something I noticed too. Like I said, when I went to the other dispensary, they're like, what do you need? And I was like, oh, something to sleep. They're like, here's the product you need to take. And I remember coming in here, and I think my first interaction was you. Yeah, and I was just talking, about what some of the things I had, like having a difficult time sleeping, unwinding, some very type A, very anxiety, and we talked through a bunch of stuff, and you gave me a few few different options, and I remember actually got multiple things and just kind of had tried them out until I found what worked for me. But another cool thing is like you were talking about Blue Dream. So it isn't actually Blue Dream per se as the strain that you would like find on the street, because a lot of these names I guess are named after, you know, strains like Trainwreck, Blue Dream, like all those things that people have heard of before. But it's, you know, that I guess a cool part about Fluent is they name their strains after things that people may be familiar with if they've smoked weed before.
Yeah, and it is familiar, but it's also a little bit different. Every strain is going to be different because it's grown by a different company. So we're all going to produce it differently, so it's not going to have the same effects as every dispensary. All of our stuff is going to be a little bit different. I like Fluent because our product is really pure. We don't have a lot of additives. Again, I have epilepsy, so if I go to another dispensary and I take their distillate, or if I use their vape pens, it really agitates my migraines. Fluent's products do not do that to me. That's on a personal level.
Oh yeah, that's really awesome to know. Okay, so the next question, which you may be familiar with, would be microdosing. A very common question we got was, you know, I don't really want to get high, but I want to alleviate issues that I have, whether it's chronic pain or anxiety or something like that, and I want to go throughout the day, so how do I microdose?
So microdosing is going to work like a vitamin. And with microdosing, you can use a very minimal amount so you don't get any psychedelic effects, and that's why people prefer to do that, so they don't get high. It keeps your threshold low. You don't take too much. It's not going to aggravate your anxiety. It's actually going to work with it over a certain period of time. And like I said, you're not going to get high off of it, which is the main thing a lot of people like off of it. There's a lot of different ways you can microdose. You can use CBD and THC. That's a 1-to-1 option. A lot of people don't get high off of that. And then we also have Vela. That's a 4-to-1. I use that for my epilepsy every day. That doesn't have any psychedelic effects to it as well. And with microdosing, like I said, it works like a vitamin. So it's going to take about 2 weeks for it to fully get in and do what it's supposed to do inside your body.
Okay. Yeah. So that's something I was completely unfamiliar with. So I was like looking forward to having Stacey explain that one. But, you know, it just makes sense. You know, and a lot of the microdosing, I'm sure, is you're going to have to figure out what works for you.
Absolutely.
You know, THC is one of those things that it's not been... Yeah, it's personalized to you. It really is like a personalized plan for you. So it's just going to take you getting in there and figuring out what works best for you.
Yeah. So for instance, I could point you towards a strain because we both might have the same condition, but what works for me may not work for you.
Right.
So THC, like you said, is something you kind of have to play with and find your perfect cocktail, like your day, your midday, and your nighttime. And your intake, because intake also works different.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So like I have friends that will hit the vape pen and like immediately feel it, and then I hit the vape pen and it's like 5 minutes later I feel it. Or when I take an edible, it literally takes an hour and a half, which people think I'm making that up, but Stacey can tell you because it also takes like an hour and a half for her. And then I have friends that 15 minutes into an edible, they're already feeling it, which is like insanely fast.
Yes.
And then, you know, we were just talking about this before we were recording, but like what you've eaten throughout the day, the amount of water you've drank, like all that stuff weighs into like how it affects you, almost just like alcohol. Like if you haven't eaten all day and, you know, you drink, you're going to get drunk quicker. Well, you kind of need to have food in your system and to be well hydrated for the THC to have an effect. So it's actually kind of like the opposite of alcohol, I guess, where you need those things to get a better effect from them. So another question that we were asked is just the difference in indica, sativas, and hybrids.
It's one of my favorite things to talk about.
Yeah.
Indicas, a lot of people refer to indica. They remember it as in the couch. That's how a lot of physicians refer to it as well. Indica is really good for insomnia. It helps you sleep at night. If you have really bad pain, it also works really well for that. A lot of people that suffer from severe anxiety also use indica during the day to kind of keep them down and downplay the anxiety.
Right.
A good fun one for me is hybrids. I love hybrids.
I also love hybrids. So
hybrids can lean either way. So you can go towards a sativa dominant hybrid, or you can go towards an indica dominant hybrid, which is a good thing for people who have anxiety again, or pain. The hybrids, when they lean towards sativas, can be a 50-50. Like OG Kush, for instance, is a 50-50 hybrid. It's going to be half indica and it's going to be half sativa. Blue Dream is a 80-20. which really surprised me because of how well it does work with anxiety.
Right.
Forever I thought that was a 50-50 until someday somebody was like, Stacy, you're not explaining that strain correctly. And I was like, what? And I was like mind blown because it does work so well with my anxiety.
Right, yeah.
So if you do have anxiety, don't let sativa dominant hybrids scare you away. That's something to definitely just try to play with so you find something that works well for you. Sativas are very fun. They're very euphoric. They're very uplifting. They can exacerbate anxiety if you already have that. So just be careful which ones you try. I like sativas during the daytime. They keep you uplifted. They make you want to do things. They kind of keep you focused during the day. But
too much of that can really mess up your anxiety.
Really mess you up, yeah.
Yeah, I personally like hybrids. I know you like hybrids. I would say that if you were just starting out, a hybrid may be a good option for you because you're not really like fully committing to a sativa or an indica. And then with all things, just start small and then work your way up.
Yeah, definitely.
And then just know that if you are starting with an edible or a vape or something like that, that the time that it's going to take to hit you is going to be drastically different.
Yes.
If you vape, it is going to be much quicker than if you take an edible. No matter who you are, those time frames are different.
So a vape pen usually lasts. It's immediate for most people. Some people like me and Brad were talking about, it takes us about 5-10 minutes to fill anything off of it. Those are going to last you from about 2 to 4 hours for most people. If you have a higher tolerance, it's not going to last you that long. The drops are going to work like an edible, and they go underneath your tongue. Those work for about 6 to 8 hours, and it's more of a whole body effect and not just a head high. The same with edibles. It's more of a whole body effect and not just a head high. Those are going to hang around for about 6 to 8 hours, and they take a little bit longer to kick in, about 1 to 2 hours. And then we also have creams that you don't feel psychedelic effects for, and those are amazing for pain.
Yeah, that's something I wanted to go ahead and jump into. So that's a great segue, is that what are the ways to take THC? And I'm talking about all ways. So, I mean, I know that there's like joints, blunts, you have bongs, you have dabs, you have vapes, you have creams, you have edibles. So what are all the different ways that Fluent offers to take THC?
Fluent offers many different ways for you to take THC. I'm just going to show y'all some stuff. These are really awesome. We recently just came out with these. These are the blackberry gels.
Okay. Yeah, I haven't tried that flavor, but the green apple ones are like my favorite
really
ones.
Good.
Yeah.
These are going to be a 1-to-1, so very minimal psychedelic effect off of it because the CBD plays well with the THC in those.
Right.
So those are 5 milligrams. Again, those are going to take about 1 hour to 2 hours for you to kick in, especially if you haven't ate anything throughout the day. With edibles and with drops, you're going to try and want to eat something that's fatty. Which sounds silly, but the oil inside of the THC latches onto the fat and it makes it go through your metabolism and your liver a little bit faster. And these last for about 6 to 8 hours. And then we have CBD drops. And CBD is really good for epilepsy, pain. It works like a vitamin. It gets in your system in about 2 weeks. So really you don't feel any effects off of that. It works really good to repair the brain stems that we go in and we kind of damage with THC. It goes back in there and repairs them for you. So if you take it every day, and it actually keeps your threshold kind of lower.
Okay.
And you get higher.
Right.
And then we have the cream. I love this stuff.
Yeah, so I've never actually tried the cream. So
again, like I was talking earlier, I was on opiates for 14 years. I broke my back in gymnastics. And one of the girls here I was talking to, and the stuff is amazing. Like, that's literally how I got off of opiates.
Yeah.
It's instant. You feel it. It lasts for 6 to 8 hours. And you just, you can rub it down your spine, especially if you have, neuropathy or something like that, and it just radiates.
Oh, wow.
Everywhere.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah.
And it lasts for a long time. It's kind of pricey.
Yeah.
But a little bit goes a long way with that.
Yeah.
And these are going to be some drops. These are indica drops. These work really well for nighttime. These ones are called Nocturne through us, but it's also known as Northern Lights. One of my favorite strains from high school. And these are going to go underneath your tongue as close as you can get them to your sublingual vein. You let them sit there for about a minute and a half, and then you will swallow it. Doesn't taste the best.
Does it taste like real?
It tastes like marijuana.
Yeah, it tastes like weed. Yeah,
it tastes like weed.
Yeah. Because I used to do CBD drops like that at night too, and it's like you hold it in your mouth and then you swallow it. You're like, I just feel like I ate weed.
It's tricky. Yeah, and then you feel like, oh my gosh, I have bong water in my mouth. But there's a trick to that. I get capsules off of Amazon.
Okay.
And you can take the dosage, once you figure out what works for you, and you can fill those up and you just swallow them.
Okay.
And it takes about 30 minutes for it to kick in.
Okay.
And these last about 6 to 8 hours too. So if you have like really bad insomnia, these should keep you asleep pretty much all night.
Okay.
We do offer, that's why I brought these ones out. We offer 2 different levels of drops and carts. So these are gonna be our 450 line, and these do not have any MCT oil in it. MCT oil is all natural. These do have MCT oil.
Okay.
So we would recommend these for somebody who is more of a beginner.
Right.
And somebody who has a higher tolerance would go with these.
Right, gotcha. Okay. Yeah, most of the THC that is inside of a liquid form is with some kind of oil, because like we were talking about earlier, that THC is like that kind of fat soluble, like needs to be transported via fat. So MCT oil is used a lot in products for THC.
Right. And these are capsules. So there's a lot of different ways that you can take marijuana. Capsules also work like edibles. These are going to be CBD.
Okay.
And they work like a vitamin, take about 2 weeks. These are Granddaddy Perp. So these work like an edible. They're going to take about 2 hours to kick in. For me, sometimes it takes about 3, and they're 10 milligrams a piece. One of these should make you sleep really, really good for about 8 hours.
Yeah.
It's not something I would take during the daytime.
Yeah.
At all. And have you ever seen Keef?
Yes, I have seen Keef before.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to put this one out the box. So Keef is the good stuff, the pollen that actually comes off the plant. If you ever open up the bottom chamber of your grinder after you grind your marijuana up, there's going to be some Keef in the bottom of it. You can do crazy things with your Keef that I never even knew of until I started at Fluent. I always thought, oh my gosh, you just put it in your blunt, you just put it on your joint or on top of your marijuana and your bong.
Right.
You can actually cook with Keef.
Right, yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Did you know that?
Yeah, I did.
That's so amazing.
Yeah.
So I recently found that out from one of the girls that work here, and also you can make some really good hot chocolate. And it works like an edible.
Okay.
And that's probably like the best sleep I've ever had in my entire life, honestly.
Yeah, so Keef just looks up like ground up flour.
Yeah.
So it's just a really fine powder.
And it comes in a little container like this.
Yeah.
And it takes a very, very minimal amount, and it goes a really long way.
I think you can see, yeah, so if we turn it this way, you'll be able to see. But yeah, I had Keef. The one thing I Keef went through pretty quick.
Yeah. So this container is going to be an 1/8. So when you come to a dispensary, most of us are going to sell these as 3.5. When you get it like this is called whole flower. You can actually grind this up. You can put it in a pipe. You can smoke it in a bowl. Or you can get pre-rolls, and those already come ground up, rolled for you, and you just light them up, and it's really convenient.
Yeah, and y'all make actually pre-roll filters for the pre-rolls too, which is actually really cool. I saw the pre-roll. Yeah, I've seen the pre-roll filters before. They're really nice. A lot of my friends love the pre-roll filters from Fluent because of just how much they extract out that you're not breathing in. So just to keep it a cleaner product. Obviously, when you start doing like the oils and the distillate, you're just getting the purest form, and you're not, inhaling or smoking it. I know a big thing Aubrie doesn't like for me to smoke anything. I think vape is about all she really is okay with, and she's still not really okay with that. She prefers me to do distillates, oils, drops, stuff like that. So these filters are actually really cool. I watched a little video on their website.
Yeah, I actually love those filters.
Yeah.
You can actually use these for up to 3 times. It's up to the person, but I know a lot of people do use them for up to 3 times. Don't laugh at me if I can't get this open.
Oh yeah, it's hard to get them in.
On my fingernail. But
yeah, they're really cool.
Goes on the end of your pre-roll or your joint if you roll it, and this goes in your mouth. I always joke around with everybody here, and I'm like, oh, if you want to feel like Audrey Hepburn, then you just smoke one of these. But it really does work. They have these little things right here in the middle, and it catches all the extra gooey stuff that you really don't need to inhale from marijuana to go into your lungs. And you can actually look at this after one time, and these are kind of brownish black. If you do use it the full 3 times, it looks very, very gross, so you can tell that they're doing what they're supposed to do.
Yeah.
And this is gonna be a Vuber. When I vape, this is the only thing that I used. It's made by Puffco, and I am no way, shape, or form promoting them. I just really like this pen. It's a smart pen, and you put your battery on here, and it actually will last your battery for like a day or 2 longer, and the hit off of it's better, and it gives you a better high. So as the oil in your battery goes down, this battery actually will adjust its level
Oh.
automatically to give you a better hit and a better taste off of it.
Awesome. That's interesting. Yeah.
And then we have our normal batteries.
Yeah.
And those are just for vape pens as well. And these are 510 threads.
Right. That's what I have. So I apparently don't have the nice ones. So I'll take that up with
We'll give
Fluent,
Brad a nice
so.
one. And if you want, we could show
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Brad was asking some questions about this. I have one of these at home. I used to dab regular, like where you use the torch and all that crazy stuff.
well, I'm just gonna break it down. So like I don't even know really what dabbing is. So
Okay.
I'm assuming so a lot of people that watch the videos are like so beginner into like looking into THC, which I mean a lot of people I think are gonna be really interested in drops, pills,
Yeah.
like edibles, just because I feel like that's when you enter into the world that's
Yeah,
safe.
absolutely.
It's easy to dose it, it's safe.
Absolutely.
When you start getting into the distillates, when you squeeze out a little bit, like if you squeeze out a little bit too much,
Yeah,
like you can
absolutely.
change your dosing wildly. Just like when you roll it too, like you could roll a blunt that if you put in a little extra, it's gonna get you a lot higher. So dabbing.
It's for more of an experienced user.
Right.
So for somebody who's more experienced, this is an awesome tool. It's kind of like the battery that I just showed you. It's a smart bong for dabs. In dabs, we carry syringes here, and with the syringes, like Brad just said, you want to be very careful with those. When they say a rice grain size, you literally want to use a rice grain size of that. But you can take it and put it on wax paper and put it in the freezer, and then you can put it inside of the little chamber right here. On this one, you literally hit the button 3 times. It's going to vibrate. It warms up for you. It vibrates again, and it's ready to go.
Oh,
It's that easy.
Wow. Yeah.
And if you dab, you know that it's a lot less messier. This is awesome.
Right.
And I
Right.
love it.
Yeah, I have a lot of my friends that they started out with like bongs and then
Yeah.
they worked their way to dabs, which I smoked my first bong, like 2 months ago, I feel like, and I had never smoked a bong, so I was like,
Oh my
like people were explaining to me, I'm like breathing in, like
Yeah.
pulling out. So it's an experience. I would say that there's probably videos online to figure out how to do this stuff.
Yeah,
but I would say
definitely for those.
yeah, so there's just a lot of different ways to consume THC. So if you have a legitimate medical reason that you need THC, don't let it scare you away
No.
from finding it, because if you don't want to smoke, there's edibles. If you don't want to do edibles, there's drops, there's pills, there's a lot of different ways to do it. I think there's just a negative stigma out there, but that's why I wanted to do this video with
Yeah.
Fluent and Stacy, especially because one, you could see how THC has changed her life, right? And a lot of
Absolutely.
people look at it and they'd be like, oh, well, smoking weed's just for potheads or whatever it is, but it's like it allowed her to get off of,
So,
opioids, which we all
yeah.
know now are terrible, and then, get rid of some epilepsy medication and, seizure medication
Which is
that you're on.
huge.
Yeah,
I
which
used
is
to
a big
have
deal.
grand mal seizures once a month. I haven't had one since I've been on medical marijuana
Yeah.
at all in the past 2 years.
Yeah,
So that's
so-
amazing in itself.
Yeah, so I think that it carries a negative stigma, so we just wanted to kind of break the stigma, if you will. I know that mental health is just something that's very important now, and how well THC treats anxiety and sleep problems that stem from mental health issues. So it's really just a video for us to kind of break the mold and talk about things that people don't really talk about,
Yes.
because THC maybe can help you too. So just wanted to get that video out there for everyone to see. So thank you so much,
You're
Stacy, for
welcome.
joining us
I
today.
appreciate you.
I'm sure that we're going to get a lot more questions. So, comment down below if you have questions. Stacy and I can meet again
Absolutely.
and do some more videos. If there's specific like use videos, then we can work on that stuff too. Because I know a lot of people have questions about that. Comment down below if you have any questions. We'll try to get back to all of them, answer them up. But thank you so much for watching our video. Like this video, share this video with someone that can find it useful. Subscribe if you haven't. You're worth it.